2024 has begun, and with it comes another big year for Skyrim modding. So before we get into some new exciting mods, I wanted to cover my essential mods going into 2024. These are the mods that I consider my personal favourites and will give you a nice base to build from that makes Skyrim feel more modern and more fun to play. First are the trees, and my favourite for a while now has been Traverse the Ulvenwald. A realistic and diverse mod, this all-in-one package will transform all areas of the Skyrim map with beautiful dense forest. It's the variety that really captures my interest here, making each hole feel fresh with loads of different trees bringing a unique atmosphere to your game. For grass, I've recently switched to the Skoglendi grass mod for a few reasons. One, it's a complete package. A lot of other popular grass mods require 3 or 4 different mods patched together, whereas Skoglendi is just an all-in-one installation by itself, making it a lot simpler, especially for beginners. It's also performance friendly, and most importantly, looks great by transforming your landscape with stunning fields of lush grass. There are also 2 options for the Whiterun Tundra, where you can choose between green or brown grass. On top of all of that, the installation foam mod comes with different density options and a setup INI file, making it a complete package when it comes to grass mods. And to finish off the landscape, we have a new release terrain mod that has really caught my eye called Fantasia Landscapes. From the same author who brought you Skyland, this terrain overhaul is a little more fantasy but works great and complements the Skyrim landscape very well in my opinion. There is also a parallax option for those that want it, and together with just these 3 mods, you can really transform your overall exterior environment extremely well. Moving into the dungeons, I recently came across a retexture mod called Venerable Nordic Temples, which provides a high quality texture overhaul for all your Nordic ruined dungeons. After trying out many different styles, this one felt just right, with a unique lighter tone and optional Viking symbols that add to the mysterious atmosphere of your Nordic dungeon. It's also fairly underrated, so I recommend taking a look. Another important aspect of dungeons is the loot you receive, and sometimes your reward after clearing a boss wasn't always that great. That's why I've always enjoyed the Dynamic Dungeon Loot mod, which adds a loot tier system to every boss chest, ranging from common to very rare and a small chance to find a legendary item. Each tier is more powerful than the last and makes every dungeon feel more rewarding. There is also a very small chance to find an exotic item, which are either very powerful or provide a unique function, and will keep you dungeon diving until you find the perfect item for your build. Lastly, regarding dungeons are the Draga enemies, and in recent times I can't go past the Restless Dead mod, which will overhaul all the Draga enemies to be more unique. Providing a huge collection of both undead and skeleton variants, no dungeon will feel the same again. On top of that, Draga enemies will have access to a large range of spells, shouts and weapons, making them much more formidable to come up against, and will place unique boss type enemies where there were none before. Overall, these 3 mods will make the Nordic ruins feel brand new and exciting to explore again, as well as rewarding you for your adventures. Next up are some World Edition mods that expand the world of Skyrim in an immersive manner, starting with the Skyshards mod. This mod, taken directly from the Elder Scrolls Online, will place over 100 Skyshards for you to find throughout the Skyrim landscape, both providing a reason to explore the map, and for every 3 you do find, you will be rewarded with a perk point. Modded perk overhauls often add many more perks for you to unlock, so to me, this mod adds a balanced and fun way to increase your perk points without just giving you 50% more points. Some are very easy to find, while others are much more secluded and will require you to explore off the beaten path. Another fantastic World Edition is the Daedric Shrines All-in-One mod, which adds or replaces all 16 Daedric Lords with a fancy new statue. The designs are all fantastic, as well as lore friendly, and again give you a reason to explore the map or provide a nice surprise when you come across them. These are visual only, however there is a patch for Winter Sun if you would like to receive a blessing from each shrine, which I also recommend using. Then we have the classic Master the Summit mod, which adds walkways along certain cliff faces and up mountains, allowing you to explore Skyrim like never before. If you've ever wanted to summit a mountain or are simply tired of going the long way around, then this is the mod for you, providing an immersive and unique way to experience the world. Now for some immersion, and these are arguably my top 4 immersive mods of all time, starting with immersive equipment displays. In vanilla Skyrim, only the weapons you had equipped would display on your character, but now with this mod, you can have as many as you want. On top of that, it also comes with an in-game UI where you can edit the location and exact position of each weapon or item for yourself. You can also add equipment physics so your items will move around as you walk or run, increasing immersion even further. A fantastic and highly customizable mod. Next is the mod called Coins of Interesting Nature, which adds a variety of different sets of currency to the world. I always found it strange when exploring old Nordic or Dwemer ruins you would find modern septim coins, when these ruins had been left untouched for centuries well before the Empire took over. Well, this mod fixes that with 6 different kinds of coin, ranging from the ancient Nord Drakar to the Thalmor Sankar. Each coin also has a different value. For example, the ancient Nord Drakar is worth only 15% of a normal septim, essentially making it harder to earn cash just by looting certain dungeons. A great concept and addition to your game. Another fantastic addition are the line expansion mods by JaySerpa. These mods add new lines and reactions to certain NPCs in the game, including bandits, the Forsworn, vampires, and Civil War soldiers. Altogether, these mods just make the game more enjoyable. No longer will you hear the same lines repeated ad nauseum, but instead you get treated to new and often funny dialogue options, very well executed and highly recommended. And the last but not least immersive mod is called Honed Metal. Essentially, this mod allows you to utilize the blacksmith and city mages to craft and upgrade your equipment for you. The blacksmith can craft or temper weapons and armor, whereas a mage can enchant items for you. The quality of craftsmanship will vary depending on the NPC, so finding a master will always be your best option. What's great about this mod, especially in the early game, is you gain access to better quality and more varied enchantments than you would normally have by yourself, and it can also save you a few perk points if you want. It also just makes sense in an immersive way that these masters of the trade would offer their service for a bit of coin, another great and well executed mod. Next are a few general gameplay mods, starting with my favourite mod of all time called Experience. This mod will completely overhaul how you level your character by uncoupling your skills and overall character level. Instead, you will gain experience and level your character by just playing the game. The main ways to gain experience is by completing a quest or clearing a dungeon, but simply getting a kill, discovering a new location, or even reading a book will also net you a small amount of XP. This system really promotes exploration and completing quest lines instead of just leveling a certain skill. I also recommend getting the MCM add-on, which will allow you to adjust the amount of XP each action gives you. Then we have the Spell Perk Item Distributor mod, which provides a framework to distribute different spells and items to NPCs they wouldn't normally have access to. So for example, you could give bandits a new set of modded armor to use. But my favourite mod that implements this system is the Enemy Evolution of Skyrim, which gives enemies the ability to use spells and shouts from a selection of the most popular spell mods out there. This creates a greatly more varied combat environment, as well as making Skyrim's gameplay a lot more interesting and fun to experience, as you never know what you're going to come up against. Speaking of spells, next are a few of my favourite magic mods, starting with Forgotten Magic Redone. This mod not only adds a selection of new spells, but a progression system to go alongside them as well. Essentially, the more you use one of these spells, the more experience you gain with it, and eventually you will earn a perk point. This can then be used to upgrade the spell with a unique effect. Each spell is separate and can be upgraded via the MCM. This mod is extremely well done and allows you to create your own unique and powerful spells as you progress as a mage. For example, after a few upgrades, my Wolfpack Conjuration spell will heal me, cause massive amounts of bleed damage, and even turn invisible. Then we have the Frozen Electrocuted Combustion mod, which will apply a visual effect to NPCs when killed by magic. For example, fire will burn, leaving behind a char-grilled corpse. Frost will cause enemies to freeze solid, and shock will cause enemies to spasm and burn. This mod is visual only, but really adds an immersive and much darker tone to your magic abilities as you leave behind a trail of destruction in your wake. Another visual only mod is called Strange Runes, which applies magical runes to your hands when casting a spell. This applies to both you and NPCs, and each class's spell will display a different kind of rune, adding another layer of fantasy to your game. It's also compatible with all spell mods and just makes magic more magical. Next up are some of my favourite movement mods, first being the Better Jumping mod, which adds momentum to your jumps and allows you to perform a jump while sprinting, something you couldn't do in classic Skyrim. It also adds the option to adjust jump height or even add a double jump feature. All of these can be adjusted within the configuration file to your liking as well. Just a really simple but very essential mod for any mod list. Another essential movement mod is called True Directional Movement, which will give you the ability to move and attack in any direction similar to other modern action games. This will really open up your gameplay and make your overall playing experience significantly better. It also comes with other features such as the lock-on function, where you can lock onto a target during combat. This can be really helpful with tricky opponents or when using a ranged attack, but can also be customized or even disabled like everything else in an extensive MCM. And the last movement mod, which won't be for everyone, but is something I really enjoy, is the Dynamic Dodge mod, which can be used with any of the three main dodge mods, TK Dodge RE, DMCO, or Ultimate Dodge. I find dodging really expands Skyrim combat and allows you to outmaneuver your opponents or dodge out of the way of incoming attacks. They are also very fun to use and provide another way to express your combat style. Moving on to some combat mods, and whether you prefer Vanilla Plus or a more modern style of combat, I think all of these work well with both styles. The first one synergizes very well with dodging, called Action-Based Projectiles Dodgeable Ranged Attacks. In classic Skyrim, you virtually had no chance to avoid an arrow or ranged attack once it's been casted. This mod tweaks the projectile speed so you can now actually block or dodge out of the way of an incoming ranged attack. This is extremely helpful in a busy combat situation, and I find balances out Skyrim combat very well. So now you can actually interact with and negate ranged damage if you are good enough. Valhalla Combat is another great combat mod that overhauls the stamina system, so light attacks cost stamina if you miss, but gain stamina if you hit. This creates a very fast-paced and rewarding combat style. It also features a time blocking feature where you can negate all damage if successful, and a perfect time block will instantly stagger your opponent. You can also block projectiles at the cost of magicka, and if timed perfectly, will deflect the projectile back at the sender. The final feature is Stun and Execution, where each attack and timed block will cause stun damage, and once an opponent is fully stunned, you can then perform an execution to kill them instantly. If you don't like any of these features, however, you can configure them in a highly customizable MCM, but altogether it creates a very rewarding and impactful combat experience. Precision is another combat mod with an extensive list of features, most importantly fixing the hitboxes and reach of all weapons so attacks feel more realistic instead of just applying a cone of damage in front of you. Other features include hit reactions, so NPCs react to your weapon hits, hit stop and camera shake, again another subtle feature to enhance your attacks actually hitting your opponent, recoil to punish you or an NPC when hitting a solid object, and weapon trails adding a nice flourish to your weapon swings. It really is the jack of all trades for combat mods and ties together so many features in a complete package it's hard to ignore. Lastly is just a nice visual mod called Dynamic Impact Slash Effects, which adds a visual effect when you hit an enemy with your weapon. The effect changes whether you're hitting a human, which produces blood, Draga producing some bone dust, and Dwemer enemies will produce sparks, making combat feel a lot more visceral and impactful, as if your weapon swings are really slicing through your enemy. And to finish are a few of my favourite interface mods, starting with better third-person selection. Again in classic Skyrim, you needed pinpoint accuracy to select anything in third person, or were forced to enter first person. But with this mod, the process is made significantly easier using a proximity feature similar to other modern games that will highlight different objects around you that you can interact with, a massive quality of life change for third-person gameplay. Then we have TrueHUD, which will overhaul your heads-up display by adding many new features, including actor info bars that show the name and resources of your enemies or current target, boss bars which provide a much larger bar on your screen, and a player widget which will replace the vanilla resource bar with a more modern variant. It also comes with an MCM that provides a huge selection of settings you can configure to your liking, and one that I recommend is the phantom bars, so you can visually see how much damage you're doing with each weapon swing. But otherwise it's a fantastic mod that will modernize your heads-up display. And the last mod of the day is Smooth Cam. Your camera is another important aspect of your overall gameplay experience, and Smooth Cam provides an in-depth way to edit your camera in every aspect of the game. If you don't want to create your own settings, however, there are also a ton of Smooth Cam presets that you can download and try out for yourself. For some shameless promotion, if you like the camera angle used in this video, I have uploaded my own preset that you can use if you like. And that's all for this video that should give you a banging Skyrim modding experience at the beginning of 2024, and is intended to overhaul each aspect of Skyrim in a simple and high quality manner, as well as give you ideas to build your own mod list, which I consider the best facet about modding, is you get to create your own unique brand of Skyrim. But if anything, I hope you enjoyed the video and found a couple of mods to add to your list. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Cheers.